Bit of drunk on the eggnog for this holiday season. It's whatever. If you must know, back then I used to be huge on Christmas. Christmas was like my favorite time of the year until 2019 happened. And I'm not gonna go into specifics what happened in 2019, just things like that happened. But I will tell you this. 2018 for me was the best Christmas I've ever had with family, friends, also someone who was really important to me who is sadly not around anymore. Um, uh, they all made that year for me. My brother gave me Red Dead 2. I had a partner whom she gave me a lot of good things. She gave me what was it? I think she gave me like a book from my favorite manga series, Negima. It was the sequel to Negima. It was called UQ Holder. I still haven't read it, mainly because I really wanted to finish Negima first, and I still haven't. I mean, I did because I read ahead one day because I was wondering how the conclusion was going to be like, since people were uploading the chapters that weren't released for America yet in these cool, you know, English translators, which the English translators who work really hard to pump out those like free to read manga sites, you are awesome. It was a great Christmas. I spent time with my two sisters, my brother. Um, we all had a good time. We started doing like the gift opening, and it was a really nice Christmas time. And I thought it was pretty sweet. Neat. I watched Batman Returns and Die Hard. It was really good, and it sadly ended depressing because it was the only good Christmas I had. 2019 was that great. 2020, I think we did celebrate Christmas. We watched Wonder Woman 1984, and 2021 I spent alone. Yeah. And this year is different. I'm not spending it alone, but I'm not in a good Christmas spirit. If there's any Christmas miracle that's going to happen this year, I will be happy, and maybe that will rejuvenate my love for Christmas. But for now, recently broken up and depressed as all hell is not good. It's not good at all. It's not great. But whatever. It's Christmas season, and you know what? I never had a Christmas game to review or play like I usually do. I mean, sometimes I don't. Usually I do. Sometimes. Or make a video game feel like it's a Christmas video, but it's not. Like I remember I did the Laura Croft Rise of the Tomb Raider game, and it was the Baba Yaga DLC. And I was like, let's make it into a Christmas episode for some reason. And I was like thinking that would be the best idea, and it was ridiculous. So I think the best thing I can do is make a review for Christmas time, for Christmas Eve on Friday. And it's a movie I recently saw, and it was Violent Night, starring David Harbour as Kris Kringle himself, and John Leguizamo as the villain of this movie. Man is 62. 62 years old. It boggles my mind. Like, the man doesn't look 62. I think I'm more convinced that he's still in his late 40s or mid 50s. Because the man, he looks good for his age. Like, man, what goes on? Whatever he's doing, dude is doing it right. And look at that young to me, even though he's freaking 60. Like, holy crap. There was, I don't know anyone else in this movie besides David Harbour and John Leguizamo. The mother in this movie, the mother of the little girl, in this movie, she was in a movie I didn't like that people gave high praise for. It was called Cop Shop. I remember reviewing that on my channel last year, and that movie was pretty shit. I really hated that film. I really did. No one liked that film. I don't know why critics were saying this was the greatest movie ever. This was such a good film. Like, it was well written, it was well made, and I saw the movie and I was like, this is shit. And it's shit because, like, it's everything that wouldn't happen in real life. Like, why would the cops do this? Or why would everyone make these choices when clearly there are more smarter choices to do in this movie? And it was just implausible that you kept having that logic in your brain saying, this is dumb. Why are they doing this? And I don't know why freaking critics praised it or freaking like it has a high score on Rotten Tomatoes from the last I checked it. And I was like, God, why? Not only that, if you are a Dirty Harry fan, the movie straight up steals the theme song to Magnum Force in that movie. But that's me going on a tangent. So let me tell you this. The director of this movie is Tommy Wirkola. And if you watch the podcast, which I don't think I've told everyone that our podcast has returned, the Coast to Coast cast, it's not on YouTube yet. You can watch it on Spotify if you got that. Um, Tommy Wirkola was a director of Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which I said I love that movie, and I thought it was the best B movie of the time. That was pretty good, and I told like Kaiju, hey, you should watch this movie. It's actually pretty decent. You would have a good time for what it is, and she wasn't disappointed. Uh, I was also shocked to learn the writers for Violent Night, same writers who did two of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and and I didn't know this until like I was like looking up the movie while I was watching it, and then I saw the writers, and I was like thinking, oh, so that's why I was having a good time with this movie because I actually do enjoy the Sonic movies a lot. Second movie, the best one. The second movie is the best one out of the two. The second movie is the better Sonic movie than the first one because at least they knew what to do that time. Violent Night is a shockingly good movie. I not gonna lie, was it technically Die Hard? Yeah. It was technically Die Hard. It was just like one man against many of these evil people who are going to kill like these innocent people, and one man who is sought out to do good will go and help them in their time of need during the Christmas season. And I actually had fun with it. I can tell that Wirkola directed this because, again, he does not shy away from violence like he did in Witch Hunters or, Dead Snow. And my God, this movie's gory as hell. No, I mean, I wouldn't say like it's on the same par as other movies I've seen with a lot of gore, or movies I refuse to see, like Terrifier, because for some reason Terrifier pushes my limit on what I like in gory films. I don't know why. Um, but Violent Night really does have some good action scenes, good violent kills in this film. I think the best kills happen in the third act of the film. And I say this without spoiling it, that they finally fulfilled my wish of giving me rated R Home Alone. Makes me think about when I used to watch Vanis Gaming, and then they made the joke of Home Alone rated R edition. But that movie gave me that. And the funny thing I liked about it was that if those traps existed in real life, the bandits in Home Alone wouldn't get a freaking, oh, they just got injured a little bit. Nothing's gonna hurt them. No, you're gonna die with the traps that Kevin does in that movie. And that little girl who recently watched Home Alone, because that's why she got the idea of doing all these traps. I was like, someone should tell her that's gonna murder people, not injure them. Yet the way she did it was so hilarious because I was laughing because I was like, oh my god, they really recreated Home Alone, but if it was rated R. Especially one scene with bowling balls and nails that I won't say what happens, but good god, I laughed hard that I couldn't breathe when I saw that scene. And I really had a good time watching that. Yeah. Of course, David Harbour, the man, the myth, the legend, an actor. I followed his career unintentionally. Like, seriously, I unintentionally followed this man's career. Like, I watched Quantum of Solace, he was in that. The Green Hornet, he was in that. The Equalizer, he was in that. Suicide Squad, shockingly, also, he was in that. So you can say he was both in the DCEU and the MCU until James Gunn destroys that all. I've unintentionally followed David Harbour's career, and every time I see him, he's always cast as a bad guy, or he was just weird in those movies. The only time I started to pay attention to him was when he did Stranger Things, and I was like, oh wow, he's actually a pretty good, decent actor. I don't know why people aren't utilizing him better in movies. And then they eventually did with yikes. Actually, I take it back. Hellboy treated him dirty. Uh Freaking Black Widow. He could have been better, but that movie really didn't do him justice with the character he was playing. He could have, but uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think any movie has treated him well, to my memory. Like, God, yeah, Hellboy was terrible. The funny thing is, I said this while I was watching the movie. I was like, why was he a better Hellboy in this movie than he was in the actual Hellboy movie? And maybe it's because I think David Harbour was having fun with Violent Night, while with Hellboy, he was miserable because the movie changed its script and it became worse. And I feel like he had improvised a bit with this movie, with all the expressions and mannerisms he's given Santa in this film, especially like the cynical side. of how he says things or what he does in the film. Like he starts pissing on the Washington Monument in this film. I was like, what the fuck? There's like some funny things, like little things he does, when he's like when he unintentionally ho's kind of, where he's like, oh, like kind of like that. When he gets caught, he kind of does the ho kind of thing, but more like in an awkward and like, oh shit, oh fuck kind of way. Like, yikes, I was caught. I didn't mean to be caught. Uh, and there was also a funny thing when he has like a sarcastic or like a funny smug bitchy kind of like smirk or chuckle. It kind of sounds like he's singing a Christmas song when he does that, when people are like really concerned, not concerned, I'm like really like confused or weirded out that he keeps saying he's Santa. He has this little like kind of jingle when he has this like smug laugh and smile on his face. It sounds like he's singing a melody, like a Christmas melody, and I thought that was pretty good. I was like, wow. I don't. I'm very curious to wonder how much did he improvise in this movie because he does a great job. Was the best thing about David Harbour's Santa Claus is not only he's a great Santa, probably he's kind of on my list as top five Santas. He reminds me of the Russian Santa Claus in Rise of the Guardians, which I don't know why my friends really hate that movie because they refuse to talk about it. But I really did love that movie. I probably one of DreamWorks' best for me. Um, is that Alec Baldwin played this Russian Santa Claus, which I thought was so cool. Of of like he was like the best character in that movie, and Alec Baldwin played him amazingly. And I was like, I want more of that Russian Santa Claus. And I kind of got it, but he was not like Russian. He was like this freaking, I guess, Norwegian kind of Viking that was like brutal and violent. And he had a fucking sledgehammer called Skull Crusher. And I saw that. And for some reason, seeing David Harbour in that helmet and that freaking hammer, I was laughing, thinking, oh God, he's the Northman. And that scene really got a laugh out of me, but also made me think, this man's badass. What? Because it started making me ask questions, thinking, who was like thinking, let's make this murderous, brutal Viking into Santa Claus? And or what made him, become Santa? I kind of have an idea. Like, once he had all that killing and murdering, it's like he felt like he did something wrong in the world and he wanted to redeem himself in some way. So I guess he wanted to redeem himself by becoming Santa Claus. And I thought that was pretty fun. I thought that was a pretty nice idea. Yeah. There are a lot of people saying that they would love to see a sequel to this movie or a freaking prequel to this movie. I would love to see a prequel of David Harbour being a fucking Viking killing people and then uh trying to redeem himself by realizing he needs to become Santa Claus to feel something at least, or at least redeem himself of all his sins that he did because he felt like he did something wrong in the world. And or a sequel. And people were talking about like the sequel about it should also star Mrs. Claus being a badass. and everyone is saying Charlize Theron as Mrs. Claus, and I was like, yes. Since this is like David Leitch's company that produced this, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure Charlize would do that because she did Atomic Blonde and she did almost half her stunts in that movie. And I thought that would be pretty cool. Like, it won't be just Santa, it will be Mrs. Claus as well. I can already think of the script and idea what it's going to be since the whole movie touched on it a bit. That was pretty fun. I really did enjoy this. I think this movie's a solid 7.8 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I thought a lot of performances were great. I mean, the family sucked. I didn't like the family at all. It was like the typical cliche sitcom actors you would see in a movie. It's only the little girl. The little girl is the best part of the movie, especially with her interaction with Santa. And coming from the people who wrote the Sonic movie, they do a good job at making like touching, dramatic, heartwarming scenes. Because Sonic 2 had good, heartwarming scenes in that film where I'm like, oh my god, I feel bad for Tails. And you'd be like, you start to become happy that Tails finally found friends that accept him for who he is. I was like, oh, that's nice. Like, there's some touching moments in that movie that I liked. Even the first movie, I thought there were some nice touching moments despite how rushed they were. But this movie does a great job, especially from the writers of the Sonic the Hedgehog films. So hopefully we get more in the future. Probably not directed by Tommy Wirkola because, I think he's notorious for not returning to direct sequels. Then again, I recently learned he did direct the sequel to Dead Snow. So I'm probably going crazy thinking I'm living in alternate universes where minute details change in my every time I wake up. If you are looking to watch Violet Night, don't bring your kids. I mean, there is a lot of heartwarming stuff in it that will get you in the Christmas spirit. Just, you can't show the little ones this. Unless you're those parents that will be like, I'm fine showing my kid a violent movie. Well, maybe wait until they're 6 years old, probably, for them to watch it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you, Wolfpack, in the next one. Ciao, darlings, and remember, Merry Christmas. I hope you have a great time of the year, whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or, whatever you celebrate or believe in. I hope that you have a great time of the holidays, and hopefully the new year will be great as well. Ciao. Remember, you are loved.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! Ow!